Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this men's beanie, but it can be for male or female. Honestly, it's just the amount of rows and stitches that makes the fit and style different for a man. But if you like that, go for it. You're going to need a 4.5 hook and exactly 3 stitch markers. We're going to get started with our weight 4 acrylic yarn, and we're going to start with a slip knot. If you don't know how to do a slip knot, just make a knot. We're going to chain 51. And then once we chain 51, we're going to kind of roll our chains to the side till we see that third loop, because that's what we want to work into, so that at the end we have 2 prominent stitches that we can see. So this helps with that, working into the third loop. So we're going to do 45 half double crochets, skipping the first stitch. And this is where we're going to introduce our first stitch marker. And these are very important that you have 3. We're going to place 1 in the very beginning, and this is going to keep our brim of the hat straight. And so into 45 stitches, we're going to do half double crochets. 1 half double crochet into each of these 45 stitches, and I'll meet you back when we only have 5 stitches left. Now I've made my 45 half double crochets, and into these last 5 stitches we're going to do single crochet. So before we do that, we're going to indicate that. We're going to introduce our second stitch marker, and this shows us that this is our last half double crochet. So now into these last 5 stitches, we're going to do single crochets. This is our last single crochet. And now we have 5 single crochet and then 45 half double crochet. Now we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and now we're going to work into the back loops only. So starting off, we're going to do our 5 single crochet, and now we're going to introduce our last stitch marker. And this is very important, you guys. I highly recommend using your stitch markers. So that's 1 into the next back loop only, our second single crochet, the third single crochet, our fourth, popped up, our 4th single crochet, and our 5th. Now we reach the stitch marker, and that tells us we have to start half double crochets. So we're going to remove the stitch marker, place a half double crochet also in the back loops only, and then replace the stitch marker, because when we come back and we get going with more rounds, this will help us to have a peace of mind, and we don't have to sit there and count each time we start the 5 single crochet. So now we're going to do our 45 half double crochets all the way to the end. And this will be the sequence all the way to the end. Just like that. Chain 1, turn our work for every round. And now we're going to go back starting with half double crochet. 45 half double crochet. Place our stitch marker back in, and this is the pattern: 45 half double crochet till we get to the stitch marker. Then we'll do the 5 single crochet, chain 1 turn, and repeat for, I'm going to do 46 rows. Once you have 46 rows, you want to make sure you don't end on the side of your single crochet, but instead on the end with the half double crochet. It must end on an even row. You're going to chain 1, turn the work to its side, and we're going to fold it in half. And working from the left to the right, we're going to slip stitch our beanie closed. So we're going to work into the front post of all of our stitches. So this is the front post or the front loop, and this is the back loop. So we only want to work in the front loops only of the first, and then you're going to grab your back section and you're going to insert to the front loop only. Just like that, and then we're going to complete it by using a slip stitch. So you're just going to grab your yarn over and pull through all of the loops. Just like that. And we're going to continue that all the way to the end, and you should have a total of 50 stitches, 50 slip stitches all the way to the end. Once you reach your end, you're going to chain 2, pull up a long enough yarn so that you can cut it and sew in our circle. Once you have that, you're going to tighten down that knot. We're going to turn it inside out, and this is what that seam looks like. You can barely even tell, especially if you block it and kind of loosen up those fibers. So it's kind of the perfect stitch for this. You won't even know where the hat ends. Then you're going to grab your longest tail and your shorter tail, and you're going to tie those two together. I do 2 knots just to make sure it's really secure and tie it really tight. After I do that, I'm going to grab my yarn needle. And now, just like you would do a magic ring, we're going to close this up. So into each of these ridges is what I would call it, like the ribbed ridges. You're going to insert into each of these all the way across until we can start pulling the yarn and closing the hole. So you're just going to weave your needle in all of these, and you can pull them as you go to make it a little tighter as you go, to make it easier at the end to close up. We're going to do this all the way around till we reach our second piece of yarn. That's how we know we got to the beginning. Just like that. Once you reach the end, you're going to pull it tight to close that hole, and then you're going to make a knot with your second piece of yarn again. So you're going to make a double knot, or 3, however many you want, to make sure it's really secure. And if you're still finding that you have a bit of a hole in the middle, I'm going to show you how to sew that hole closed as well. So once you finish with your knots, just to get that extra step of security, I'm going to take my longest piece of the yarn and dart it straight through the middle to the other end. So from the bottom to the top, just like that, pull it through, bring it around, and insert it one more time to really close up that hole. Just like that. Once you finish that, we're going to tie a knot again, 2 knots to make sure that it's secure. And then grabbing our needle again, we're going to sew both strands together and weave in that end. So I'm taking both strands and my yarn needle, and I'm just going to weave that through the middle again. And then I'll cut the excess yarn, and we'll be done with this section. Just like that. I think I might tie it in one more night. Yeah, I'm extra. God never could be too safe. So I'm tying it in a knot again, and then I will cut it. Just like that. Perfect. Then we're going to turn it the right side because we were working with it inside out, pushing the head space because sometimes the stitches will make it clump up a little bit. So we're just going to push that, even that out, roll up the top however thick you want it to be, and there we are. It's complete. You have this very luxe looking men's beanie or unisex beanie. It's really, really easy, super simple. And just by changing the amount of rows, you can make it to any size. So if you see that you may need more fabric to wrap around the whole head, just make more than 46 rows. Maybe do 48 or 50. Just remember it has to end on an even row. And just like that, you're done. Ready to keep your husband, your man's ears warm, your ears warm, your kids' ears warm. You can make this in any size. So I'm excited to see if you guys use this pattern. Let me know in the comments. And until next time, bye.